Hello, everybody, and a very warm welcome to this interview session with Katrin Heuser. Actually, Katrin, a warm welcome to you. I'm so happy to have you with me, but I have a funny feeling that I may not be pronouncing your name quite correctly. Could you just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about the work that you do?
Thank you so much for inviting me and talking with me today. You were quite spot on. It's Katrin Heuser, or it's a German name, so it would be Katrin Heuser. But I've lived away from Germany for so long. I'm very used to people coming up with all sorts of variations on that. I now live in Lisbon, in beautiful Lisbon, Portugal, where I run a small yoga studio and a therapy space. I guess, yeah, mostly I work with people who suffer from stuff that goes from chronic pain, anxiety, depression sometimes, various issues, chronic conditions. People are looking for support in their kind of healing process and whatever is going on. And obviously it's great, more and more people dealing with some of those issues are now turning to body-mind practices. And yeah, I just help them, support them through their individual healing process. One, of course, with the yoga, quite a therapeutic form of yoga, but also with Thai massage and Osteo-Thai, which is this incredible, quite magical, I sometimes say, combination or marriage, you might say, between osteopathy, coming from the West, and Thai massage coming from the East.
Lovely. That sounds absolutely amazing. So those are two incredible disciplines in and of themselves. And I've had both, but I've never had this beautiful fusion that you've created. So what was the thinking behind that, Katrin? And what was your journey to becoming an Osteo-Thai therapist? And also, as I understand, you teach this work as well, don't you?
I have a school for Thai massage. Now, I have to say that Osteothai was not my idea. I wish it was, but it's not. It's beautiful people. Not that many, but David Lut is one of them. And he is also an osteopath, but he's also one of those first Westerners that spend time in Thailand back in the, I don't know when they hung out there in the 90s, and spend time with the masters there and learned that beautiful practice. And then when bringing that back to the West, realized that actually they have a lot in common, which is really just facilitating a very safe space, looking for the health in the body. And yes, there are different techniques, different mechanics at play, but the baseline of that kind of real intention in the work is very much the same. So they come together so beautifully. And so it was him together with someone else. And there's maybe 2 or 3 people who started to create this different way of working, combining the disciplines.
Fantastic. Now, yeah, I was going to say, sorry to cut across you, I was just going to say at this point, I think for people who haven't come across Thai massage before, I think it might be helpful to explain a little bit about it and what they might expect, because it's not standard massage, is it? It's not just going for a nice kind of relaxing rub. I mean, it is ultimately, the results are phenomenal, and you feel like $1 million afterwards. But can you explain to people what they might expect and how they're positioned? Because it's not like going for a sort of a normal thing, jump on the table and you get a little bit of a nice kind of a rub down. Is different. Tell me what happens, and so that people know what to expect.
So first of all, it's not on a table, and it's not with oil, and it's actually with clothes on. So we work on a massage futon, a bit like shiatsu. So shiatsu people are maybe a little bit more familiar with, and in a way you could almost compare the two. Both work on the principle of energy lines. So in shiatsu we know meridians, people are a little bit more familiar with, and in Thai massage we have a similar system. They're called Sen lines that we work. And then the other thing that's really different is just it's really 2 people coming together on the mat and sharing this practice. Yes, one person is giving, one is receiving, and you pick which one you might prefer. But it's a practice. It's 2 people coming together, like a meditation in movement. So this is the other main difference. You're not just receiving pressure, along those meridians and certain points, but there's a lot of movement. You're going to get some stretches, you're going to get some twists, you're going to get some rocking, and all sorts of different movement, where you as the giving practitioner, you're kind of really involved with it also. So it's this beautiful dance almost that begins to happen between the two people that come together on the mat. And I like that aspect because it offers this beautiful aspect of integrating into the whole of the being. So we might go into something that is quite intense, or there might be some deeper pressure or lighter pressure, I don't know, but really focusing in on something to shift something. Yeah. And then we can take a breather and we have some movement to integrate it and to have that, okay, that's good. And let the rest of the body and the being kind of catch up with that. Yes. And then obviously, like all Eastern practices, we are working with the whole of the being. So that's also the big difference to your kind of normal massage table. I'm not saying it's bad, like there's some great, fantastic table massage practitioners, of course. But what the focus here is really that we are not only working on the physical body, which of course we are, but also on the energetic body, like all Eastern practices. But we're also very much aware of the emotions and the thoughts and the kind of the intuition body and also the spiritual body. And that we borrow from yoga, the 5 koshas, the five bodies. So I would say in a nutshell, that's probably the main difference.
Yes, it is quite a different experience having a really good Thai massage. And, I sometimes wonder whether massage is even the right name or right terminology for the work that you do, because, it is quite different. And do you have anywhere that people can actually go and see a little bit about what you actually do, so they can get a good feel for exactly what you're offering?
I've tried to do quite a few videos, and ultimately it's about the touch, right? There's so much power and healing power in that connection, and especially around this last year. I mean, in the beginning of the pandemic, I felt a bit like somebody had chopped my hands off, and I realized how much touch was not just kind of about my work, but really about who I am. And I know there's been quite a lot of talk about that, because everybody is realizing how important it is. So obviously, it's the best thing is to go and receive a massage, a Thai massage, to really receive it. Or get an idea of what it's like. But I've done a few videos where you can see a little bit what actually happens. So you can see, okay, so this is what she means by movement, and that actually looks quite fun. And I also did a video and actually explaining a little bit more about what Osteo-Thai actually is, in terms of how that marriage comes together with the osteopathy, basically coming into the mix of it. You kind of get a little bit more precise and I guess a little bit more therapeutic, and maybe go even a little bit deeper into the connection. It becomes actually more subtle. So some people might have received a Thai massage back in Thailand on the beach, and they might have actually walked away from that sort of half beaten up by this tiny little Thai lady, because they work strong. It's absolutely incredible how much power they've got in their pressure. And they might not have enjoyed that, because it might have been quite painful. But the work that we've done in kind of bringing it to the West, and my teachers have done massively, is really adapting that to the Western bodies also. And actually it's quite difficult for us to receive that amount of pressure. And obviously stress being really like the disease of our society. Everything is sort of softened a little bit, and there's a much bigger focus on deep, profound relaxation, so that can be that reset in our nervous system and our whole being.
Oh, that's absolutely amazing. So, and you teach this work. So who are your courses actually for?
I have a real mix of people. So yoga teachers, obviously, this is how I came into it, from, being a yoga teacher, feeling like I wanted to work more therapeutically. That came from my own story with dealing with my scoliosis and so on. So I was drawn into this that way. And, I actually call it Thai yoga massage even. So there is this really connection. We borrow the philosophy and the teachings of yoga, plus we have all of these yogic moves that we use for the stretches and the twists. So it's a beautiful complement for anyone who's a yoga teacher. I also have physios or, kind of traditional massage therapists who kind of feel like they're maybe missing that connection, that kind of that compassion, that wholeness of what I was talking about, working with the whole being rather than just the physical body. But, I also have, and some of my favorite students were people who had nothing to do with any of that. I remember like a retired policewoman once, and she just blossomed. This was kind of her chance to just do something so different to what her whole life has been about, and just changing her life. And she loved it so much and just wonderful. So there's no prerequisites as such. You need to believe that our bodies are designed for healing. And, you need to feel that kind of passion for wanting to facilitate that safe space for that to take place for people, and whatever your kind of story is that took you to that place.
Lovely, that's fantastic. And then finally, what I just was wondering if you could tell people, once they've actually trained with you, are they then qualified to go out and give treatment straight away?
Yes, and good question. It's important to understand what that training really entails. So as teachers have all decided to go about it a slightly different way. I decided to go in a level 1 and level 2. Other people teach it as one big block. It's not here or there. Everybody has their personal preferences. For me, level 1 is really giving you the foundation. And from that, you can already give a balanced treatment to your friends, family. You can maybe incorporate that into your other work if you're already working as a therapist and you're insured as that. But for those who really want to go and call themselves a practitioner, they go ahead and do the level 2 with me, which is focusing on the therapeutic application, sequencing, creating a treatment that is relevant for the person that is going to come and show up on your doorstep. And after that, and this is a huge and most important part almost of the training, is 25 case studies. So you go out into the real world and work on a bunch of different people and actually, make it real. And it might at first feel like, oh gosh, I'm not so sure about that. That's like a huge undertaking, but actually that's where everything comes alive. And even though you haven't got the pleasure of my presence with that all the time, but I will obviously support people throughout that process. It's actually my favorite part of the training, because I see, people really understanding it, embodying this work, and having amazing results with people straight away. And everything is falling into place. And then they come back and do a little assessment with me, which is giving a treatment, and I observe and I give some hopefully helpful feedback, and then they can go off. And it depends on where you live in the world, because every country has very different regulations as to how to get insurance. And in the UK, you would also need to have your anatomy and physiology level 3 NVQ, which you can do. I don't include that in the training itself, because I do have people coming from all sorts of different backgrounds, so they might already have that anyway, and most people kind of already do. Yoga teachers' anatomy and physiology is already usually adequate, so the insurance will cover them. And in other countries in the world, there's a whole different bunch of regulations. So it's impossible for me to cater for that side of it. So there is that thing that they just need to check. But yes, otherwise, yes is the answer. That's the aim. Go and spread time massage.
That's great. That's really helpful. So finally then, for people to contact you, how do they do that? And I must say at this point that if you're watching this on YouTube, there will be a little V, like a little down arrow, just to the bottom right-hand side of the video as you look at it. If you click that, you'll actually find that the box of the show notes actually opens up, and you'll be able to see Katrin's contact details and a little bit more about her work. But Katrin, can you just tell us what your contact details are, please?
Yes, of course. So you'll find me on my website, which is called Hadadi, Hadadi. That's Hebrew for reciprocation, for this kind of giving and taking. Hadadi Thai massage ash@quite.com. So
Fabulous.
Ash, quite easy, and you'll find all my details there.
Great, and we'll make sure that we've got everything there for you. That's absolutely terrific. Thank you so much, and thank you for spending this time with me and explaining about your beautiful work that you do. It's wonderful.
Thank you so much for this opportunity, for talking to me.
Pleasure, absolute pleasure. Thank you, Katrin.
Thank you.